Welcome, naked American man who stole my balloons, to Geek Salad's Retro Movie Reviews from the Geek Salad Podcast. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike.
And tonight, by the way, I am working out of my office tonight as lights in the studio have burnt out. I just noticed it like 2 minutes ago. I'm like, why is it so dark? It's like, because the entire lamp is dead. That's why it is so dark. So
that'll do it.
Yeah. I actually just need to replace those lamps. I want to get LEDs in there to make it brighter. But anyway, we are here to continue with our look at the horror movies of the 80s because it's October. It's spooky season. And so last week we did The Shining. This week we are doing An American Werewolf in London.
Mm-hmm.
The first movie to win the competitive Oscar for visual effects. Visual effects was not a competitive category. Like, movies had won for visual effects, but it was never like a regular thing. This is the first year. In 1981 was the first year that they were implemented as being a regular thing. There's always going to be a special effects award.
Wow, I did not know that.
Then on out, yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, for the most part, they were just special awards that they were handed out.
And this one, well deserved.
Yes. Directed by a man who did nothing of note 2 years after this movie came out. Only 1 year after this movie came out, actually, Kurt. But it was 82. No, you're right. No, 83 was when the movie came out.
Yes.
82 was when the incident happened. And we are, of course, talking about director John Landis, who is an incredible piece of shit. We're not going to really talk too much about him. There are going to be certain things I think we're going to have to talk about, but more in regards to the movie itself. I'm just happy that he decided not to use real silver bullets in this movie. So
yeah, I actually, they even make a joke about it. It's like, don't I need a silver bullet? Come on, guy. Come on, David.
Exactly. And that's a great little line too. You had mentioned to me that, while Landis wrote and directed this movie, humor is not his forte.
No, and he's good at directing humor that other people write.
Right. The burden of the actors is to get the humor across, and I thought they did a very good job, especially Griffin Dunne.
Sorry, I'm blanking on which one he is.
Griffin Dunne is
Jack.
Jack.
Yeah. I thought he did humor the best out of anybody in the movie. Most everyone else sort of.
Yeah, I mean, there are little bits here and there. A lot of the
sergeant.
Humor, what's that?
That sergeant. The humor with the sergeant was like pulling teeth. It was forced beyond measure.
Right. Had that movie been filmed 20 years later, Stephen Fry would be playing that role.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is very interesting just how British this movie really is. Other than the two American leads in it, David Naughton and Griffin Dunne.
And the
director. Yeah. Everybody else in this is like some semblance of a stalwart, of British TV or British cinema. Yeah, heck, what's that?
If I'm honest, my two favorite members of the cast, besides Jack, I like Jack.
Yeah.
But Jenny Agutter and John Woodvine.
Yeah.
I thought Dr. Hirsch and Alex were fantastic.
Yeah, they were. And Jenny Agutter was just beautiful. I mean, she, especially in the 80s, this was like, she had done Equus in the late 70s. She was always she was a reliable hand at being the girlfriend.
Yeah. And
stuff.
She apparently did not have too many qualms with going topless in a shirt.
No, not at all. Because she did that a lot in many movies, including Logan's Run. She was in Logan's Run.
Yeah.
You know who is actually in this movie? I didn't realize it until I rewatched. It was Rick Mayall of The Young Ones and Drop Dead Fred.
Really?
He was the other guy playing chess in the pub, in the Slaughtered Lamb pub.
Oh. I didn't recognize. I've never been the biggest Young Ones fan.
Right. But you know Rick Mayall when you see Rick Mayall.
Yeah.
And I think that like David Naughton, whose career was, I'm glad it wasn't stymied completely because of the song "Making It" and the Dr. Pepper ads. The Dr. Pepper ads are what got him the role in the first place.
Yeah.
But yeah, his big thing was he was on a TV sitcom called "Making It," and he sang the theme song "Making It," which was like a moderate disco hit.
Huh? I
Yeah.
did not know that.
Yeah. And I think he did really well. Considering let's be honest, he was actually there was a lot that he had to endure in this movie. That's your Pepper. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, for a guy who spent, I would say 20% of this movie naked.
Yeah. Yep. He is actually naked more than Jenny Agutter is in this movie. She's only got the one scene. He is like naked practically throughout.
Yeah. Actually, there's a lot of nudity in this movie.
Oh my God. You know what? I was thinking about this, that it's a statement that we don't see a lot of nudity in modern movies anymore. At least this level of gratuitous nudity. I mean, when you see it, you're like, oh, my goodness.
Half of the third act takes place in a porno theater with a porno on the screen.
Oh my God. That was so funny. Yeah. Right. What I tell you? You're up to your old tricks again. Who are you? Oh, sorry, wrong room.
Yeah, a lot of the superstitial stuff in the background, was funnier than the stuff on the screen.
A lot of it was, yeah. That it was really interesting too, because that couple that David murders, like they were like the first of his victims. That couple, so they're very cheerful in the afterlife. Yeah. You got another thing up here?
There we go.
They're trying to outdo Joe Dante in The Howling with the nudity. Yeah, it's been an age since I've seen The Howling.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed them. They're very cheerful Brits.
Even when they're dead, they're actually quite charming. They're easily the most charming of all the victims that show up.
Of all the victims exactly. You know, the homeless guys weren't really thrilled, nor was the guy he killed in the subway. That subway scene is so good, and they used Jaws style filming for it.
Yeah.
POV shots. You see maybe about a second and a half of the front half of the werewolf before he strikes. That's it.
Yeah. Is it time to give just overall opinions of the movie?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because in general, I actually don't mind werewolf movies. I don't mind The Howling. Ginger Snaps is phenomenal.
Okay.
Dog Soldiers is really fun. I did not care for this movie.
Really?
This movie is a whole lot of, all right, we're waiting for something to happen. Oh, something happens. Now we're waiting even longer for something to happen.
Yeah.
We're still waiting. Something happened. Okay, now we're reacting to something happened. Oh, now something happened, and now it's over. There's 15 minutes of werewolf in this movie.
Yeah, there is, and it's more the building of it's more building the lore and the tension of it, which I can appreciate. I felt like it was I think that was well served. Sorry, I have to forward a message to my daughter here. There we go.
One thing that the more I thought of the more this plot point really bugged the hell out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Why did those town's bumpkins say nothing? Stay off the moors. Why? We're not going to tell you. Just stay off the moors. Why?
Right. I feel like it's their shame.
Out there. There's a dangerous animal out there. We're going to hunt him down in the morning. Just don't go out there. But instead they kick them out. It's all right, you're going to be in vital danger out there. Bye.
I feel like, honestly, my reading to that was this was their shame. This was a curse that was cast upon their village.
And now they're more than willing to let it pass on to someone else.
Yep.
Even when the doctor comes along, he's like, no, we're not going to tell you anything. No.
Yeah.
Dude, just say something, please. Just something.
I got you.
The more I thought about it, the more that plot point just
right.
me off.
But again, if they say anything, you have no movie. You know, overall, I thought that the actual like all the things that came along with the Curse of the Werewolf were actually really cool. I think that they took a lot of really nice choices, especially with David's nightmares. As weird as they were, because there was some really weird shit in there. I mean, you start off, he's running naked in the woods, and he attacks and eats a deer, and then it goes into his house. What's that?
Then he has that weird face that looks like Captain Howdy from The Exorcist.
Yeah. And then he and then his family's completely slaughtered by werewolf Nazis.
Yeah, and then he wakes up and he's not waking up, and there's another werewolf Nazi. Then he wakes up.
Yeah. And I enjoyed that. I felt like it was just like all of these little things that are happening to him. And then when Jack visits him and tells him, you need to kill yourself, you need to end the curse, because I'm doomed to walk the earth because of it. Nick, yep.
Yeah.
Very British. This is a very British movie. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it. The fact that all of his kills are going to have to roam the earth until the line is completely severed.
So if he infected another person, they're all be wandering around.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And which kind of was weird, because like when he's like as a wolf, wandering through the streets of London at the end, and everyone's like dying from car crashes and all that. Not one person gets scratched or bitten by him as he's walking there.
Though that's the interesting thing, is that when he attacks to kill. Like that inspector lops the guy's head completely off. Everybody who was in the porno theater in Piccadilly Circus was dead. At that point, he is still a scared animal. And while he's, growling at people, he actually doesn't attack anybody, but everybody else is so terrified, they're trying to avoid him, and that's what's causing all that mayhem.
Yeah.
So yeah, he didn't pass the curse on, which I think is to be assumed. So everybody, everybody gets to ascend into heaven.
And then the movie ends.
Yep. You know what? I'm fine with that. I'm
not good of this just jump ends.
Yep. Shot, dead. Alex cries. The end.
Yeah, I actually I was on the Wikipedia page, and I saw a clip from Ebert's review at the time. Yep. And I'm not always the biggest fan of Ebert, but his review of this, he gave it 2.5 stars, 2 out of 4 stars, and actually his review, I actually really agree with.
Okay.
It says, An American Werewolf in London seems curiously unfinished, as if director John Landis spent all his energy on spectacular set pieces, then didn't want to bother with things like transitions, character developments, or an ending.
I can see that.
That was my opinion of it. It's like the set, like the actual werewolf and all the special effects were fantastic. A lot of his interactions with Jack were fantastic. Jenny Aguda was fantastic. The doctor was fantastic. Everything else, I'm like, I just want something to happen. He doesn't transform until an hour into the movie, and an hour into an hour and a half movie. Right.
And that's what. So and I think I for the most part, like, even if I don't agree with Ebert, I respect his opinions on a lot of stuff, and I can see that. I can totally see that. This movie is, especially for me, because I grew up with this one. This was one of those stay up late boobs types of movies. And so I do have a bit of a soft spot for this movie. I find it entertaining, even in those slow moments. This is Howling because this one was better movie, but I'm a sucker for Rob Botton's work on The Howling. Rick Baker's work was amazing here too. Let's talk about that makeup transition.
Yeah.
And now, while I'm looking that up, I also have to make sure too that I'm completely not screwing up what Oscar was the newly competitive Oscar. Was it special effects, or was it was makeup? Special effects was its own thing beforehand. It was makeup. Makeup was not given as a competitive award. I think after American Werewolf in London, it was now a competitive award.
During the 1982 Saturn Awards, this film won for Best Horror Film and Best Makeup, and was nominated for Best Actress and Best Writing.
Okay.
Writing, I would not agree with.
It's the Saturn Awards. I mean, come on. I mean, I'm sure that back in 1981, pickings were slim. That was the year of Terror Beyond the Stars, or whatever the hell that awful Roger Corman produced movie was with Erin Moran and.
You didn't have to put awful Roger Corman produced. You could have just said Roger Corman produced.
Yeah, but let's talk about that transformation, because that is worth the price of admission alone.
Yeah. I know I've seen that clip even when I hadn't seen the movie.
Hands down, to this day, still the best werewolf transformation I've ever seen in a movie. And the beauty is too, it's all practical. They didn't have CG back then, so how do you piece that together? You'll not buy by this Corman slander here.
Come on, Kurt. You've seen Corman movies.
Yeah, now you've got me wondering, what was the actual name of the movie? It was Terror Beyond the Stars, or...
Yeah, I believe that sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, a second. But yeah, the how they had to piece it together.
Yeah. And you can tell when the cuts are made, because like they do that weird, like they're showing him transform, then they do a weird like cut to that Mickey Mouse statue for like 3 seconds, and they cut back to him transforming.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. By the way, it's Galaxy of Terror. That's the movie I was referencing.
Oh, there is a Terror Beyond the Stars, though, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
There's also Battle Beyond the Stars, but we're not going to get into that right now. That's not important right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, that is creative filmmaking. Having to make those cuts, but at the same time having you completely engaged with pieces of it where it doesn't look fake, even though you know that shot took hours to complete, because you've got to do the thing with the hands, and then you got to do the thing with the face, and then with the back legs.
Yeah.
And I love how much thought went into that transformation scene, because you can hear bones cracking. You can hear them shifting. Yeah. You can, this is a painful process. And I really love that about this movie, is that they took the time to make it a painful process, instead of like, the old Lon Chaney Wolfman, where it's like, oh no, there's the full moon. Ooh. It was like, part number 1, part number 2, part number 3. I'm a werewolf.
Yeah, no, Rick Baker is a legend in the movie industry for a reason, and this is the reason. This is the reason
that every piece of that transformation is fantastic. I kind of feel ripped off we didn't get it again in the porn theater, but I understand it was dark in there, and there's not a lot of room to move around.
Yeah, and also this movie had a budget of $5.8 million, and I think every single one of that $5.8 million went into that transformation and the makeup effects on Jack.
Yeah, and the soundtrack. Let's not forget that soundtrack. Nothing but songs with the word moon in the title, which is clever, and you only really notice it if anybody brings it up to you.
Yeah, Creedence Clearwater Revival needed that paycheck. Come on.
Yeah, at that point, yeah.
And how many versions of Blue Moon did they play?
I think there were like 3 versions of Blue Moon. There was Moon Dance. There was Bad Moon Rising.
Yeah. And I guess like Elmer Bernstein did do a score for the transformation sequence, but Landis chucked it and went with Blue Moon instead.
Was it Blue Moon or was it Bad? It was Blue Moon.
it starts with Bad Moon Rising, and then when
Right.
the actual transformation is, it's like a kind of a slower version of Blue Moon.
Right. But yeah, I mean, overall, I enjoy this movie. It's just, it is a marvel of filmmaking, even, you know, with all of Landis's shortcomings in terms of making the film or being a decent human being.
Or having any decent children.
Oh my God. How does this?
Yeah, his son may actually be a worse person than him, and he was guilty of negligent manslaughter.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't found guilty, but he was guilty of it. Come on.
Yeah. And Max Landis is does not have any children of his own. So
thank goodness, because he doesn't deserve to have.
Fingers crossed that the line ends here, and all the zombies that walk the earth waiting for that line to die out will can finally go to heaven, just like Jack. I will say, you know, with my, you know, watching the Jack makeup effects over the years, you know, I love the stuff in the hospital. That is some fantastic makeup with the throat hanging out and the flesh just kind of dripping off. By the time they get to the movie theater, you could definitely tell that's a puppet.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's a well-designed puppet. It's just maybe not a completely well-articulated puppet.
Right. It was a lot of like, here's a puppet with some moving eyes, a barely moving mouth, and you could definitely tell all of the dialogue was dubbed in.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. So, I mean, I enjoyed this one. I think my mileage went a little further than yours on this, but again, I you know, I'm glad you watched it. This was your first go around with this one, right? Other than the scene.
I think I might have seen this like maybe like 30 years ago, but like a TV edited version.
Oh.
So I vaguely think I've seen it before, but this was the first time I really could watch it, the full actual theatrical cut of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh God. 80s, especially early 80s TV cuts are wretched.
Yeah.
Rick Baker came a long way from having done the Cantina scene. Yeah, exactly.
So you're telling me that David turned into a Deveronian, huh? Okay. I get it.
Yeah, I enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to having our next conversation next week about our next Halloween movie. Any lingering thoughts on American Werewolf in London before we continue?
I kind of want to make a pub called the Slaughtered Lamb.
Yeah. Always good. It's always good to see surly English people too, just drinking their Wapney's Red Barrel and just getting angry with each other.
I have a feeling if you go to any like kind of local Northern English pub, pretty much you're going to be getting shouted out of there.
Yeah, pretty much. I've never been I've only been to England once, and we primarily stayed in cities and towns. So every pub we went into, and trust me, we went to a lot of pubs. They were more like they're more the city pubs. They weren't like these small local village pubs where everybody's got their cap on and they're all looking at you side-eyed,
playing darts. And then as soon as you walk in, they're like, "I'm gonna hit you with this dart if you don't get out."
Oi!
Oi! Get out! Stay off the moors!
Before I yell at you with my rotten British teeth again.
Yeah, stay off the moors. We're not going to tell you why, but stay off the moors. You're in danger out there. Bye.
Give me another Guinness. Anyway, apologies to our English fans out there. So that was An American Werewolf in London. Love to know what your thoughts are on this movie. This one, I feel like gets forgotten in terms of like when we talk about 80s horror. This is the one that gets forgotten.
I mean, what's weird though is that it wasn't all that horrific, honestly. The gore of the makeup, the werewolf scenes are so small, so few and far between, and you really don't see a whole lot. it's more of a thriller, I think.
It isn't as scary as some horror can be.
Yeah.
The gore is gruesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if it weren't for like the surely heroic amount of gratuitous nudity in here, it still would have gotten the R rating for violence anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like this one doesn't get like mentioned in the same breath as a lot of really good 80s horror films, especially auteur-driven horror films. But we're talking about it now, so that's really all that counts, right?
Yeah. And John Landis hasn't had a successful movie in 35 years, in over 35
yeah.
years.
There we go. I can live with that. No, actually, he did. Wait.
When?
35? No, it's 36 years now. Coming to America.
Yeah, that was his last.
Oh, thank you.
Last. I mean, he did do Beverly Hills Cop 3, and that made like over 100 million, but it also cost like 70 million, so it didn't make any money.
And just about killed the entire franchise, and we didn't get one until earlier this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, I can live with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we want to know your thoughts on American Werewolf in London. Leave that polite comment below. Make sure that you subscribe because we do this every week. We've got more 80s horror coming up throughout the month of October.
Yeah, we did his two picks. Next we're doing my 2 picks.
Exactly. We got Mike's 2 picks next week and the week after. So vastly different. Just gonna leave it with that.
Technically speaking, next week is the only movie that I've actually seen. Okay. The last movie we do, I've never seen.
Okay, and I haven't seen it in so long, it may as well qualify as me not having seen it.
It's actually, I saw a clip of that movie on Siskel and Ebert, and that scared me so much that I've never seen it since.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
It's gonna be interesting.
We'll definitely have to watch that. So hit that like, subscribe. Mike and I also host a little podcast called Geek Salad. You can check that out wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get the audio feed here at YouTube. We are currently. We just recorded our 50th anniversary of SNL episode. That will be out in about a week or two. Depends on how long it takes me to get off my ass and edit it. It will be pretty quick. I'm trying to get this one out quick.
And it's a relatively short episode, actually, too.
It is a relatively short episode. I think that even with the amount of drops I want to do, it'll still be a quick episode. So looking forward to having you hear that. We're also on the social medias. We're on Facebook at Geek Salad Podcast and on Twitter, Blue Sky and Threads at Geek Salad Radio. If you want to rate us at all, go to iTunes, give us 5 stars, and then complain about us. That's how that works, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll see you next week with another horror film. And until, I know you're lunging for the button here.
Yeah. No, I'm lunging for the end of the stream. So.
Oh, I thought you were waiting for Kurt. I thought Kurt had some up. Oh, never mind then. Thanks for watching, Kurt. So anyway, until next time, I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
Go forth and be nerdful and stay off the goddamn moors. We'll talk to you later.
Stay off the moors.